So while I was watching Skeleton Crew, I was left there kind of wondering, where's the New Republic? They were completely absent until they were very abruptly there, and that raises some questions, so I figured today we could discuss exactly how the New Republic polices the Outer Rim, and what life is like for citizens of the Outer Rim under the New Republic. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, let's just start with a baseline. Let's talk about how the Empire handled the Outer Rim real quick, and then we'll talk about what it's like under the New Republic. So, under the Empire, their power projection was mainly large capital ships, whether that was Imperial-class Star Destroyers or Arquitens-class light cruisers, that would deploy to star systems as sort of a base of operations for fighters to operate out of. Now, this is a consequence of the fact that the Empire's primary starfighters, the TIE fighters, were not capable of hyperspace travel and thus needed a base of operations, be it a ground-based facility or an orbiting spacecraft. That meant that the Imperial form of power projection was far more visible. Large vessels that were basically omnipresent at any given time. They were always in the sky over major population centers and key trade hubs across the Outer Rim. This was not the case with the New Republic, and the big difference is in their starfighters. Now, when you're dealing with small threats, things like pirates and crime, you would likely choose to use something smaller like a starfighter that's fast and nimble as opposed to something massive like a capital ship. Now, the Empire had a different philosophy. Deploy the largest vessel they could to solve the problem as a show of force, hence why Star Destroyers like that behind me were so prevalent, but the New Republic was clearly not going for that. As such, they could lean more on starfighters as their sort of police vehicles and as their patrol vehicles. So, that's almost exactly what we see. Squadrons of X-Wings likely based in facilities scattered across the Outer Rim that would venture out on patrols through spaces that were known to be occupied by pirates, hunting down pirates and other criminal activity. Then, once they engage these pirates, a few X-Wings are fairly competent, and if they needed backup, because all of these X-Wings are, equipped with hyperdrives, a base a few systems away could supply reinforcements relatively quickly. That meant that at its core, the Republic method for policing the Outer Rim basically consisted of a number of light outposts with a few X-Wings at them, which it doesn't sound like much, and that's because it isn't. The New Republic was far less strict on the Outer Rim than the Empire. Well, the Empire had its own problems with corruption stemming from the core of the galaxy. They did crack down on things like piracy in the Outer Rim, and it wasn't really until the Galactic Civil War started causing turmoil within the Empire that crime syndicates and pirate groups were really able to thrive in the Outer Rim again, as they had done before the outbreak of the Clone Wars. That is, by the way, not to say that these pirate groups didn't exist during the Clone Wars or the reign of the Empire, but they were forced to be far less active by a much more present government force. And this likely remained the case for the entire reign of the New Republic, those 30 years between the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order, when the outer fringes of the galaxy were likely very under-policed. But you really can't blame the New Republic for that. They did have a lot on their plate. They had just adopted a galaxy that was full of problems that were created by the Empire and many that pre-existed the Empire, so they were focused elsewhere. But, once again, luckily, the Rebel Alliance had perfected hit-and-run tactics, the idea of dispatching some fighters through hyperspace, hitting a target, and withdrawing very quickly. This came in handy when policing a large section of space with a small force. That's why we see time and time again in this era, a main character can call for the New Republic, and X-Wings will arrive only minutes later, usually a squadron of 3 to 5 X-Wings, which will appear out of hyperspace, carry out whatever attacks they need to, and then move in to secure whatever they can from the ground, which is another insane aspect. Using your pilots as ground combatants or direct law enforcement officers is a weird tactic. But, all that being said, there's one more thing we have to remember about the New Republic, is that they're very new to this. Very few people in the New Republic government were part of the Imperial government, and even fewer were around when the Old Republic ran the galaxy, so they had a lot to learn about how to maintain order over large swaths of space. So it's understandable that they had some early growing pains and fit into a strategy that greatly resembled their wartime strategies that they utilized against the Galactic Empire. Still, the only thing that made this strategy possible was the T-65 X-Wing, and if you'd like to learn about this INCOM fighter, its history in canon, and why it actually was almost used by the Empire, I'll leave a link up here to a video I made a while back breaking down the X-Wing, its history, its story, and its role in the Galactic Civil War. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments whether you think this is an effective way of maintaining control in the Outer Rim, especially with these limited resources that were at the disposal of the New Republic. Do you think there's a better way they could have deployed those resources to maintain order in this region of the galaxy, or do you think they were just doing the best they could and that's all we can ask of them? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars or anywhere else in science fiction, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.